Hello, and welcome to another episode of Just Scare Us Already, the podcast where we discuss movies both old and new, give our opinions, and continue to search for movies that can scare us. I'm your host, Cheyenne, with my co host, Dave.
Hi, everyone.
And if you like what you hear, give us a like and a subscribe, and follow us on all of our socials down below. But for now, let's get into it.
All right. So now that the Halloween season is over, moviegoers find themselves in that holiday season limbo when new horror films are far and few between. Luckily, we still have a few more films scheduled to be released in the months of November and December, as well as the ever growing number of straight to streaming films. On this episode, we talk about the recently released, limited release, should I add, Your Monster, starring Melissa Barrera and Tommy Dewey, and the straight to streaming Don't Move, starring Kelsey Asbill and Finn Whitrock. Were these films able to provide the scares we long for, or will we continue to search for a film that will just scare us already? So, Shai, tell us a little bit about Your Monster.
So, Your Monster was released on October 26th, 2024, directed and written by Caroline Lindy, starring Melissa Barrera, Tommy Dewey, and Edmund Donovan. After her life falls apart, soft-spoken actress Laura Franco finds her voice again when she meets a terrifying, yet weirdly charming monster living in her closet. A romantic comedy horror film about falling in love with inner rage. Currently, it has a 71% critic score and no audience score on Rotten Tomato. It does, however, have a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. So, what did you think of this movie? Because you saw it first before me.
Right, yeah. So sadly, this film did not get much attention and was not heavily promoted. I was actually the only person in the theater during the screening I went to. Um, so, was Your Monster really a horror comedy film? I have to say,
Yes.
it's definitely a rom com
Yes.
that very thinly borders the line of a horror comedy. Um, the film is very lighthearted and plays well as a cute romantic comedy. I thought Melissa Barrera and Tommy Dewey have have a great chemistry and made the whole Beauty and the Beast concept work well. And I thought the plot was creative and did a good job at making a statement about pent up internal aggression. How did you
Yeah.
feel about it?
So I agree. I saw this movie twice actually. So I saw it
Oh,
once
really?
on my own, and there was a few people in the theater, and I was sitting there going, "Oh no!" Well, at first I was a little worried when I saw the trailer because I said, "Ugh, Dave's not going to think that this is a horror movie. This seems
Hmm.
very romantic comedy with a monster." And so when you said you loved it, I said, "Okay, well maybe I'm wrong." And I watched it, and most of the movie, I'm sitting there going, is this a horror movie? It's a great movie, don't get me wrong. I'm a sap when it comes to romance. So I was sitting there grinning like an absolute idiot the whole movie. Every interaction between Tommy and Melissa as Laura and Monster were so adorable. It was the epitome of a comedy modern version of Beauty and the Beast. I really enjoyed it. And then when we finally get to the ending is when the horror finally comes in. And it's a touch. It's just a little bit enough to go, okay, this is a horror movie. So I saw it a second time with my husband. And again, even he sat there going, my mom would really like this movie. It's a very cute movie. And I said, oh, wait till the ending. And so we both kind of agreed. It's much more romantic comedy with just a touch enough at the end to deem it under comedy horror.
Hmm.
I will say that there are a few things that I don't like about the movie. I love the movie overall. I adore this movie. It is very cute. There are a few things though that I feel like could have been fixed.
Okay.
But do you have any more comments before I go into those?
No, go ahead.
So my only thing is that the two twists or secrets that are revealed towards the end of the movie are not foreshadowed
Hmm.
at all, in my opinion. And even seeing it a second time, knowing what I'm looking for, it's still not foreshadowed enough for it to be not an ending where you just kind of go, oh, okay. I kind of saw that coming, but
Hmm.
it didn't pay off, in my opinion, the
Okay.
two twists in it. Just because there wasn't enough showcasing. Like, I really wish, and I'm going to put spoiler, even though I don't think this is really a spoiler, because I really want to be careful with this movie because I want people to see it.
Hmm.
Um, I wish that they had showcased the monster's influence on Laura more during that little montage scene between her with Monster and her in the theater.
Hmm.
I just kind of wish they showcased her moods shifting more instead of just jumping straight to her little meltdown.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they did kind of play it where, she wasn't very stable. I mean, just from the beginning of the movie, you could see
Hmm.
she just wasn't a very stable person.
Yeah, but I feel like she goes from very meek to then they show her at rehearsals, and all it really focuses on her staring at her ex-boyfriend with the new girl
Mhm.
that he's interested in, and then and like having a little bit of an attitude whenever he would come around to then exploding. And I just kind of wish that there had been a little bit more of like her pushing Jackie, the girl who took her role, or her, you know, pushing off her friend in the montage scene,
Mhm.
so that when it comes to that part where she blows up and her friend even says like, you're not acting like yourself, it makes a little bit more sense, because it just felt like a quick 180.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would disagree with that. Because uh I I've been in that situation before where, you know, you have someone who thinks you're the world, thinks you're their
Mm-hmm.
everything, and then all of a sudden you're not, and they just have this totally bad attitude toward you. I mean, they're cool with everybody else, but when it comes to you, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
dagger stares and stuff. So I thought, that's how they were playing this, where she was already pissed off that he broke up with her at the time when
Mm-hmm.
she needed him the most, and then for
Yes.
him to just move on uh, to someone else and give them a role that basically was supposed to be for her. You could see that she was growing to hate him more and more throughout the movie.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I just think for the ending part of it to be what it was,
Hmm.
um,
To go that far.
to go that far, well, not just to go that far, but to reveal what is revealed
Okay.
at the very end, I feel like didn't wasn't showcased enough for when Monster arrives in her life to his influence on her to
Hmm.
justify, yeah, how far I guess the ending goes.
Okay.
But I mean, I didn't. I like I said, it was fine. I liked it, and then I also wish that they had showcased maybe a little bit more flashbacks of Monster in her life prior to this moment, because
Hmm.
he mentions it. He mentions, you found me under your bed that one night when your mom wasn't home, and then as a teenager, and with this little boy, which is the only flashback we get. I
Hmm.
just kind of wish that we had seen a little bit more of Monster's, what has happened between her and Monster before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does, and it's not to give away too much, but I think
Yeah.
it's also just a lot of statement about um, when you say even the title of the movie, "You're a monster." So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, 100%. I get that. So I just wish it had showcased, I guess, her Monster's actions with her prior to
Hmm.
this one.
Right.
Because she is very meek, like it's like the description says. I mean, she's soft spoken. She allows her boyfriend, I guess not allow, but she's a sobbing mess after her boyfriend leaves her when she has cancer, instead of going into full rage automatically. So I mean,
Right.
she lets her friend walk all over her. Her mom is never in her life. She's very quiet and meek. So it would have been kind of nice to just see like how in her life, but prior to this as well, Monster has kind of been there for her.
Right. Yeah. No,
But
yeah,
all in all, so
that's
good.
true. Yeah, and I must admit, I am not a fan of rom coms. But I did like this movie a lot, and hopefully it will gain some attention on streaming.
I hope so.
I enjoyed the interaction of the main characters. Um, you know, like you said, I too was kind of smiling,
This
during
is
the
so
interactions
cute.
between them. Yeah, it was cute.
And the music was really good.
Yeah, yeah, I was surprised she could sing like that. So,
She's from
um,
In the Heights.
oh yeah, that's
I
right.
don't know if the
That's
movie
right.
or Broadway, but she's in the Heights. But I hadn't seen that movie, so I didn't know this. But the song that she sings like 5 times in the movie, stuck in my head. It has been stuck in my head all day yesterday. It's just such a, it's, this is listed as a musical on IMDb, even though I wouldn't really categorize it as musical.
No.
Um, Not exactly, but the songs that are showcased from the musical within the movie, genuinely, I do enjoy them. I think that they're very good songs. They
Mm.
did a very good job of those. It's
Yeah,
definitely not a joke or folio do.
yeah, and although the outcome was pretty predictable, I actually
Hmm.
found myself hoping, although I know it's not very plausible, that their relationship was real. So
I was so upset by the ending
it
because I really do love them. I was actually hoping, this isn't a spoiler because it doesn't happen, but I guess maybe spoiler. I was hoping it would end with her pregnant with the
Oh,
monster's baby,
jeez. No, I'm glad that
and
didn't happen.
go somewhere with that, and
No.
go somewhere with that as like the comedy aspect. I'm happy it didn't, but I just really love their relationship. I thought they were really cute.
Yeah, yeah, it was. And so I would definitely have to say, as a horror comedy, I would have given this, I would have given this movie a thumbs down. As there was just not enough to constitute it as a true horror comedy film. But since it's also labeled as romance and or romantic comedy, um, I have to look at the picture as a whole. And
Yes,
as a whole, I give it a thumbs up, Kitty. I really enjoyed the
I
film
would agree.
overall.
I would agree. I would have given it a meh for a horror comedy alone,
Hmm.
just because I think the ending does save it enough. I think that last scene of her belting out this song with what had happened, I thought was really good and very captivating. So I would have given it a solid meh. I think if they had just tweaked little parts of it,
Hmm.
to push in a little bit more of the horror in the few moments where it's her versus her ex-boyfriend Edmund, I would have definitely given it like a strong meh. But as an overall movie, as a rom-com horror, I definitely give it a thumbs up. I think that everyone should see this. I hope it really finds its home in streaming, because
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. And I'm excited to see what Carolyn Lindy does. Um, but yeah, so
Yeah. Well,
thumbs up for me overall.
and oddly, usually after I watch a film, I'll go back and look at some of the reviews, both critics and audience, just to kind of see
Hmm.
where people's opinions are. And it looked like for Your Monster, like you said, there were no audience score, but a lot of the critics reviews that were out there. It seemed like a lot of people saw this film during a special um, untitled or unseen presentation at
Oh.
AMC back in October. It was one of those movies where you did. I think you
Oh
mentioned it. You
no,
did
I missed
before.
that. I usually go to them.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
they don't tell you what the
Dang
movie
it.
is. You just go and watch it. So it seemed like
Dang
that
it.
a lot of people saw it during that screening back in October.
Yeah, and I think that might happen with Heretic as well. I've been seeing a lot of people seeing Heretic
Hmm.
in like a private early screening thing,
Yeah,
which makes me
yeah.
a little curious about how that movie's going to go overall.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes a lot of these advanced or pre screenings, I think it's because the production companies are like, I don't know how this movie's gonna,
They're a little worried about it.
yeah, how it's gonna play out. So maybe we should test the water and see what people think.
Well, this one was definitely a success in my eyes. I hope that I think it will find a good audience. I think there's enough in it that most people will like it because it has very good comedy. It's very funny, and then it has a really great romance story that I feel like a lot of people will gravitate to. And like we said, not too horrific or horror related as an end, but
Mhm.
enough that it kind of makes you go, okay, that was kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. So
Hopefully,
let's go into our next film, the straight to streaming Don't Move. So tell us a little bit about
yes.
it.
This is a Netflix original, Don't Move, released on October 25th, 2024. Directed by Brian Netto and Adam Schindler, written by TJ Simmel and David White, starring Kelsey Asbill, Finn Ritrock, and Murray Treadwell. A seasoned killer injects a grieving woman with a paralytic agent. She must run, fight, and hide before her body shuts down, leaving her completely at his mercy if she can't find an escape. Currently, it has a 70% critic score and a 43% audience score. What did you
Yeah,
think of this movie?
that audience score kind of disappoints me a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
this film is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it has its holes, but
Hmm.
overall, I thought the film was very good, and it keeps you involved throughout. I know, as we mentioned in one of our previous episodes, straight to streaming films have been given that stigma of low quality B films that aren't good enough to be released in theaters. And I think we all can agree some straight to streaming films are pretty bad and cheaply done, but some are surprisingly very good. And I definitely think Don't Move was one of those.
Yeah, I agree. I think Netflix originals are a little bit different to me than straight to streaming,
Hmm.
just because there is usually a bit more production into them. Things like The Platform, Umbrella Academy, stuff like that. But I thought Don't Move was really good for a small cast movie. I think like literally three people have speaking lines. No,
Hmm.
maybe four people have speaking lines. But overall, mostly a very limited cast, a very limited setting. I thought the movie did a great job. I love Ben Whitlock. I think that he is great in American Horror Story. I
Okay.
thought that he did a psychopath, really a charming psychopath, very well. But like you said, this movie has holes. The beginning's a bit slow. I understood what they were going for. Um, but when the action does pick up, it goes really into it. And
Hmm.
as someone with sleep paralysis, this movie hit me where I felt so bad for it because if you've never had sleep paralysis, basically you feel like you cannot move and you feel like you are not breathing correctly while asleep. And sometimes the dream can be very vivid where it feels like you're awake. And so this
Hmm.
whole movie, I just kept feeling that anxiety again of like, oh, how it would be to not be able to move, to not be able to speak, stuck, and you're being chased by a psychopath. Oh, it's very good. I very much enjoyed it. I will say towards the end though, it got a little bit goofy, a little bit cheesy with
Hmm.
her final speech, I guess you can say, to try to get out of it. So that was stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree that Kelsey as Bill, she does a great job. To be able to stay stiff, and not move throughout the entire. I mean, she couldn't flinch, she couldn't scratch her nose, she couldn't
Hmm.
do anything. So that had to be pretty hard. And Finn Whitrock plays the perfect d bag. I mean, just from the beginning, I would have jumped off the cliff just,
Yeah,
just to get away from him.
100% when he's talking to her. I would have been like, dude, shut up real quick. I'm just gonna get
Right?
out of here. Also, I'm sorry, but like
Exactly.
a little bit of a side note, when he's parked next to her, this
Hmm.
isn't a real spoiler or anything, but when he's parked next to her and it's this close and she's trying to squeeze through,
Right?
I I would have either gotten into the other side of the car right away, or I would have been like, okay, you back out of your car, please.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
and get in.
Yeah,
Like, she
after
lets him fully get around to her.
exactly. Yeah, after he left after she noticed how close he was, I would have, like you said, I've been like, well, see ya, bye, and waited for him to
Bye.
pull off. you know.
You go jump off that cliff again.
But I will
Yeah.
say the 90-minute runtime works, as I don't
Yes.
think they would have been able to extend the story out another 25-30 minutes. I mean, it was a good concept, but it was only so far you could keep going with it. So I think
Yeah.
it was perfect that it was only 90 minutes. That way they were able to play the whole, oh, nope, now she's paralyzed. Oh, nope, now she's coming out of it kind of thing. So yeah, that worked well. So yeah,
Yeah, I
overall,
think it had perfect
uh,
pacing. I
yeah,
think it had a perfect
exactly.
pacing overall. It never felt like it slowed down too much. Once like it picked up and everything.
Hmm.
And yeah, I agree. If it had gone any longer, it would have dragged at some point.
Yeah, yeah. It had a lot of tropes and cliches.
Hmm.
The like you said near the ending, I guess they were just trying to, okay, we got to wrap this up. But some of the dialogue then all of a sudden got, like you said, really cheesy, and it was like, okay, well, you know, don't spoil it, guys. Come on, just
Yeah.
end it in a decent way, so I can actually say, okay, yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, good movie.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, overall though, I liked Don't Move. I thought it was definitely worth the watch.
It's an odd name though, Don't Move. Because she can't move. I feel
Right,
like it should have just been
right.
called Can't Move.
Stay still.
I will say that at the beginning part, there is a scene where there are ants crawling on her face.
Hmm. That was pretty.
That scene, that ooh,
I,
I could be
I
an
I
actor for that
I would like to
reason.
know though if that was CGI or if she
I
really
don't.
let
Yeah,
them
that's
put
true. I don't
ants on
know.
her, because I'd been like, nope.
I could not. I couldn't be an actor for these kind of reasons. Whenever I see these kind of movies and there's a big insect on someone and they can't move away from it, could
Yeah,
never be me.
no, no, especially little ants. I'm like, no.
Hmm. But I thought that there was really great moments where she is forced out. Like I love movies where you have a hunter or someone being hunted and they're forced out of a hiding spot or they're forced out of the situation they're in.
Hmm.
Which is why, for instance, I hated Strangers chapter one or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
Because that scene where she jumps into that pile of dead bodies, there was no reason for her to leave that pile. She was safe. She was good and then
Yeah.
chose to leave it. Yeah, she had a call. She was able to call the police or at
Hmm.
least call like a somewhat. They already looked at that spot and walked away. Other than to get her boyfriend, she had no reason to move the rest of the night. So I like movies like this where things happen like the ants crawling on her body and she's right next to this ant hill, the
Hmm.
river becoming rougher, I don't want to spoil anything, but what happens in the house, stuff like that kind of forces her into these positions where she has to leave.
Right.
I enjoy things like that much more in a chase movie than just having them for whatever reason find a hiding spot and choose to continue running when they could just
Yeah.
like chill.
Yeah. They definitely did a good job at having those moments where you're like, oh, okay, she's about to be saved, and then nope,
Oh yeah.
you know, and you're like, ah, shit, oh, damn, But yeah,
Yeah.
so
He
what? Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just gonna say he did a good job though of being charismatic when needed, but not charismatic enough ever.
Hmm.
If that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like everyone kind of questioned him still, instead of it being like the perfect charismatic man.
yeah, because he came across like a d bag.
Yeah, he really did.
And I will say that little twist that they put in there near the end, I don't want to give it away, but yeah, that was kind of like, eh,
I agree. I thought that was unnecessary. I think they only did it to give her something to, like, I guess, cling to as hope that he might change his
mm,
mind. But I
yeah,
just thought it wasn't necessary. I think that it did. I mean, maybe it was just also added to kind of get that idea of like a psychopath isn't always this, you know, it's it's a cliche that we've all seen, especially the trope of, and I guess I'll put a spoiler alert here, even though it doesn't ruin the movie in any way, but spoiler just in case. Um, the idea of like, oh, they're fighting something within them and need this escape, and it's just so gross and cliche, and I'm a little
Right.
over that. But overall, what would you give this movie? Because I don't agree with the audience score of 43%. I think that's a bit low.
Yeah, I agree. I actually will give it a thumbs up, kitty. I liked it. I would have given it a much higher score than 43%, but I know that's
Yeah.
overall of all the viewers.
Yeah, I agree. I give it a thumbs up. I would have given it maybe like an 80% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Like if I were to just choose a score, because it's not, like we said, not perfect, but I think it's close enough. I mean, it's very good pacing, good horror. The
Hmm.
concept of it in and of itself, I think, is really sorry, is really creative. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of another movie that's done something like this where it's complete paralytics and not just like someone who is paraplegic.
Hmm.
Um, so I thought that that added something, and was done in a good job, because you would be scared that this movie would be very slow and very lame, I guess, because someone can't
Right.
move the whole time being chased.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the only other critique I would put on it, but it, you could still assume, is that it seemed like he said if after within 20 minutes she would be totally paralyzed, wouldn't be able to speak or anything like that. But it seemed like it wore off a lot faster than it took to
It did.
come on. And I was like, how is he going to spend an entire weekend with her unless, he planned on injecting her multiple times?
Well, he had numerous. I'm assuming he gets some sort of thrill out of maybe giving them the hope of like their body starts to move once they're in
Hmm.
his cabin, just for him to do it to them again. I'm assuming it's how this guy kind of seems to be, is he likes to play with his victims. So I would
Right.
assume that once they're in the cabin, he kind of gives them that chance to think they can get out, only for him to inject them again and again and again, because he had multiple of the injections.
True.
Um,
True.
but I agree, it did wear off relatively fast. But I'm assuming maybe because she was anxious, because he did say like if you run, if your heart rate increases, it's going to go through your system faster. So maybe since
Hmm.
she was still anxious the whole time, it wore off faster. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
paralytics work, but
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, and it didn't wear off like instantaneously. It
yeah,
it was little by little. So I'll give them benefit of the doubt, that
but
it
it
was
felt
a
like less
longer
than an
period of
hour,
time. Yeah, it
maybe
did.
two.
It definitely did. And the only other thing I when I was watching it, when I see films like this, I'm always looking for that slip up. I'm always looking for, oh, she moved her arm, oh, she moved her head, but
Yeah.
she did a really
She was
good job
good.
of keeping still. She was kind of like a mannequin almost, and
Hmm.
so I thought that was well done.
I agree. I think she did a phenomenal job. I mean, I feel like it's always hard, when actors have these kind of roles where they're frozen or they're still or dead the whole time, or like
Hmm.
Autopsy of Jane Doe, where she's
Okay.
dead this whole time, just laying there. And I don't know if they used a mannequin or anything in any scenes, but I think they said it was a real person.
Yeah, I
Or
think in
like
the beginning,
Saw,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, or even like Saw, where he's on the floor the whole movie,
True.
still as
True.
can be. I feel like those are so, you have to have such a command of your body.
Yeah.
Because I've sat still before thinking I'm still as heck. And you have those little fidgets. Your body just wants to fidget all the time. So kudos to her. She did, Kelsey Asbell did a phenomenal job in her, I don't want to say limited role, but kind of limited role in terms of how much she physically was doing during the whole thing.
Hmm.
She did a great job. I thought that everything was well done. Everything was well edited, directed. Yeah, I thought overall definitely a thumbs up, Kitty. I think two successful movies on our
Yep.
second episode of two successful movies, because wasn't Smile and Don't Die.
Yep.
2 thumbs up too.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're getting positive, people. We're getting some good horror movies. And next up is going to be Heretic, and there's another movie coming out November 8th.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it, though.
Well, we'll figure it out. And so I think that's going to be next week's then. Yeah. That'll be next week's episode. Will be another double feature, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because this one will go up on the 4th. No, the 5th. And then the next one would be right after Heretic and whatever double feature we watch.
Cool.
So hopefully,
Looking forward to it.
If we're lucky, we will get 2 more new movies that will just scare us.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully. So stay tuned and join us next week to see if 2 more movies manage to get thumbs up kitties from us, and if anyone can finally get the rare golden kitty of an actual movie that scares us. But thank you so much for listening in this time.
Bye.